On this episode, we say thank you. 2 very big top 10 lists came out last week, and Atlas appears on both of them. Atlas All Access starts now. Okay, so 2 very special guests this week. Kurt Chase, who, have you been on with us before?
No, you never asked me, but go ahead.
Okay, so Kurt Chase, Vice President of, what is your actual title?
VP of Recruitment, Employee Relations.
Employee Relations. Yes. And Chris Madrigal.
Yep, thanks for having me again.
Recruiter extraordinaire.
Yeah.
Joins us today. So there's 2 very big top 10 lists came out last week I want to talk about. The first one, Scrub Squad 1978, Thomas Piper's group had a nurses-only online vote for the top 10 agencies, right? It was just vote for your top 10 favorite agencies or whatever, and we're number 1.
Yeah.
So we came out on top on Thomas's list. So I want to take a second to talk about that because I think that's important. Placing in the top 10 is an honor itself, but being voted number 1 strictly based on the nurses' votes, right? Your votes, you're online, you're doing this in a group that is very popular, that has a lot of members, a lot of very active members, is something that I think is a great honor.
Absolutely, I couldn't concur more. Although I don't think any of us set out to get on a list here, there, or what have you. To be recognized, though, when that's not your goal, from your constituents, your customers, the people that you service, you can't get higher than that, in my opinion.
Right.
So, that's a true number for us. It's a true measure of what we're doing, and it reflects when we get on these type of lists, and especially Mr. Piper's, it being 100% from the nurse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. It's really humbling because other industries, there's a product, there's a gizmo or a gadget. It either works or it doesn't. And, you have your warranty consumer. This is our litmus test, if you will. And when you're dealing with people, dynamics and situations, it's very humbling that that we do enough, and apparently we're accountable when we have our shortcomings, and that to be recognized is really awesome. I'm actually a little bit not sure how to honestly feel about it, other than this is really cool. I'm kind of embarrassed about it a little bit.
Well, and that's kind of where I came from too. Is when this came out January 2nd. It was later. It was 8:21 at night when it came out, when he released it. And my first response was, and I really wish I would have thought through this, but my initial response was, "Wow, right? That's awesome."
Mm-hmm.
And that it was a gut response. Like, I would have been happy being in the top 10, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a great place to be. There are some great companies on here that do really well for their nurses, and for you guys to vote us number 1, it was a wow moment for me. It was a that thank you moment.
Absolutely, I think it's one of those situations where you can then quantify all the effort that you've put in up to that point. I had no idea we were going to be on that list. I didn't even know he was coming out with a list. But to show up on the list, I'm very proud of that myself. So,
yeah, there's very little preparation we did. We didn't do any preparation for that list, right? I mean, there's nothing we fill out ahead of time. There's nothing that we can do. It was just he put it out there and it happened.
Yep. Like you said, there's a lot of great companies, and it's a win for the travel industry, the community, for travelers, for all these agencies. At the end of the day, it's about helping people. Whatever anybody that's tagged to this industry, there's a patient, there's family at the end of the day. And it's cool that there's recognition that goes both ways. Because a lot of times we're doing things, we don't even know if anyone's even going to appreciate it.
Right.
And they're not always home runs, right? So it's really cool to see a collective, and then to really score on that top, it's like, okay, well, we got to raise the bar.
Yeah.
Now, you know what I mean? Like that may or may not bring more interest, which we need to just make sure that that's standard. Whatever we're doing, I wish we could get some feedback on what they really liked, what they don't.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, it's really it's a cool thing. So appreciate it.
Well, and that leads me to the second list that came out just last week. Case Lane's Highway Hypodermics top 10 list for the year. It always comes out first like couple weeks in January. It's one that we can prepare for. We have to fill out a very long survey about us, about the services we provide, insurance and 401k and other benefits like that, and housing and stipends and things like that's a piece that I do on our end, and that's part of the scoring system. The other half of the scoring system is then voted on by the nurses, and it's a very long. I mean, in our world right now, I think it's probably 15 to 20-ish questions of nurses can fill out about the company that they work for or about a company that they want to review.
Sure.
Right? So it's a little more in-depth. There's a whole lot more to it, but then it gives you a even better idea of how the industry kind of shakes out. And you'll see there's a lot of crossover in Kay's top 10 list from Thomas's list, and we're proud again to make the top 10 in that. We're actually number 10. So, we could be number 10, we could be number 2, we could be number 1. It doesn't really matter. We're in the top 10. And with a lot of other great companies, means we're doing something right.
Right. And I agree with that. It doesn't really matter the position, just the fact that you're in the top 10, really says a lot. If you have been in this industry for any amount of time, you know who Kay Slane is. And you understand the respect that she garnishes, and therefore to be able to get on her list, that's humbling. She has been, industry giant for quite a long time, and she has proven herself to be very valuable with knowledge to the nurse, to the companies, anybody that is willing to, I guess, be open to her suggestions.
Right.
So to just be on her list in particular is an honor.
Yeah. It's a tight list too. If you can go through it in the results, if you hit the PDF button and you scroll through every company's little bio and what it says at the very bottom, and we'll put this up on the screen. At the very bottom, you'll see the ranking 1 through 24 of the companies that made that 1 through 24 list or whatever. That's all she lists on here. But the total score, so the number of evals, the eval score, the benefit score, and then your total score altogether. The difference between number 10 and number 1 is 4 points. Right, on a scale of I think it's 1 to 40. I think 40 is the highest you can get. Number 1 is 38.14. Us at number 10 is 34.64. Right, so I mean the difference between those two is like this.
Yeah, Kay's legit. I mean, she's pretty consistent in who she is, and I like her transparency. We talk about that here, but with Kay, I mean, she's been doing this for years. She really puts the nurse's experience first and foremost. Regardless of relationships with agency, you could have a great time with her, but if there's something that needs improvement or whatnot, she's going to let you know. And she shares that information. I think, when you think about all the tremendous changes just in the short 4 or 5 years that I've been involved, she's been consistent. She is still she still is relatable. She's still relevant. Yep. She's evolving. Not that she hasn't, because she's always been about educating nurses, making it a better experience when you're on the road for people that are going. And so I mean, if you're on that list, like you said, wherever you're at. I'm not going to lie, it'd be great to be 1, but, to be on Kay's list, I mean, that's something that I think the industry as a whole, respects and appreciates some of her insights.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's important, too, that if we go back to Thomas's, right, it was all voted on by the nurses, and we ended up number 1. If you just look at the nurse eval scores on Kay's list, we would have been number 2 by this much, right? It was a very tight margin. Our eval score is 18.14. The next highest, our friends at Triage just down the street, 19.14. Wow. So hell of a job there, you guys. That is awesome.
Good.
So that close. It was that close.
Right.
So
we got room for improvement.
Absolutely. So like I said, we were, and I think we talked about this last year. We want to move up on this list. There are things that we can improve on. I'm not happy with 34 point whatever it is. There's things we can do.
Right.
There's absolutely things we can do. So, again, from us here,
there's certainly things that you can do.
Well, absolutely, yeah. Chris Madrigal in general could do things.
Suggestion box is overflowing.
If you have any specific suggestions for Chris, please feel free to send them to me directly, rsmith@atlasmedstaff.com. So if you want to be involved in any of this voting whatsoever, you can find it through Scrub Squad 1978, Thomas's Facebook group. You can find it through Highway Hypodermics. If you're a brand new traveler, you can join Kay's group, which is Travel Nurse Newbies. And you can find any of these. You can vote on any of those every year, all year long. You can get to this, and your evaluation is good all year long. So she will compile these at the end of the year. Please follow us on social media. You can find us on Instagram. You can at just Atlas Medstaff. You can find us on Facebook at Atlas Medstaff. If you haven't joined our Facebook group, Atlas and Friends, we post all of this stuff here and then a whole lot more. You can just find us at the Facebook group Atlas and Friends. You can also find us on Snapchat and Twitter and YouTube. The YouTube channel is youtube.com/Atlas Medstaff Media. So from all of us here at Atlas, to everyone that voted, to everyone that gives us a little like or support or anything online, thank you so much. I've said this since the beginning of Atlas. There's not us without you guys, right? Without the nurses there working in the hospitals, without the hospital contracts, without the VMS, without the MSPs, everybody involved. We don't exist if you don't exist.
Absolutely.
Well said.
Well said.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll see you next week.